Hola amigos, this is Level 12 and today we are going to be talking about all the anime I watched in 2018. What a year it was for my anime watching in 2018. I don't want to drag on this video really long because there's kind of a lot of anime to talk about, but I will be telling you a little bit about each anime and then I will give you all 3 recommendations of what you should and 3 recommendations of what you shouldn't watch in 2019. So first are just some stats. I watched 25 anime in total in 2018, and the average score that I gave those animes was 6.8. The animes that I've watched in total, according to my anime list, is 143, and my average score is 6.94. I'm kind of generous with my scores, to be honest, but some of them I do rate kind of low, and I watched so few anime this year. Last year I didn't even have 100, and this year... and I finished off last year with 123. I watched a lot of short anime last year. This year I tried to push myself to watch longer anime. But y'all didn't come here for me to hear me decide on what anime I watched and what anime I didn't watch. So, these are in more or less chronological order. The ending's a little messed up because for some reason I forgot to track my Paranoia Agent when I was watching that. But anyways... so the first anime I completed in 2018 was Blend S. The episode count is about 12 episodes. The genre is comedy. The anime on the rating on my anime list is 7.56 and I gave it a 7. Blend S is about a girl who is kind of shy, kind of a klutz, and she wants to travel the world. But she doesn't have money to travel the world, and her parents won't pay for her to travel the world. So she gets a job at a kind of maid cafe, and she gets the job as the sadistic one, which is great. And you follow her through her trials and tribulations of working at this shop, and the other servants, the other maids there that have their own personality types, and it's run by this really eccentric dude named Dino. I have a video on it on my channel about how it doesn't know how to romance, but it's still a good anime. You should watch it. It was pretty decent. Next we have Sankarea. The episode count is 12. The genre is like a comedy romance. The rating on my anime list is 7.48 and I gave it a 7. Sankarea is about a girl who has a terrible home life and then she dies, but she ate a flower or drank some potion, and she turned into a zombie. And the guy that made this potion is only sexually attracted to zombies. And so he falls in love with her even harder than he did when she was, a human. And, he has to protect her from her family and from the world discovering that a zombie exists in, normal people times. And it's great. It's the ending's unsatisfying, if I'm being honest. But I believe it started off as a light novel, so I guess you could read the light novel to get the satisfactory ending. But the ending in itself was meh, lackluster, but it's still a good show. Just the ending sucked. Next is Sankarea episode 13. I don't know why I put the episode count as 12. It's a single like OVA type of thing. Again, the genre is comedy and romance. The rating went down and I gave it a 6. Episode 13 raises more questions than it answers, to be honest. So if you don't want to have more questions, don't watch it. Like, it didn't add anything. It made things more complex, which was bad, in my opinion. But, as a completionist, and with this just right on the table for the grabs, I watched it anyways. It needs another season, to be honest. Just Sankarea in general needs another season. Next we have Kakegurui. The episode count is 12. The genre is gaming, gambling type of thing. The rating on my anime list is 7.54 and I gave it an 8. Kakegurui. Okay, so there's a boy in there that's just like, he's just the narrator. Don't worry about him. Just worry about the girl. I forget her name at this moment in time, but it's the girl with the black hair on screen. And she's obsessed with gambling. And she's insanely rich. And she's insanely good at gambling. However, the elite students at this school that gamble, they all cheat. And she has to figure out how they cheat and beat their cheating ways. Which is... how they cheat is very interesting, and how she combats it is very interesting. And she doesn't always have a sure footing when she's trying to beat them. Like, the guy always asks, like, oh, how'd you know? And she's like, I didn't. because there's always that element of being unsure and just trying to psych out your opponent. It's really good. It shows really how, it's a very good representation of how you can fake out your opponent even if you're bluffing and still win. It's a very good, it's also a really good psychological thing. I love it. It's a great anime. Next is Hinako no, and I actually would not have watched this any other time other than I was looking for the next entry on this list. Hinako no is 12 episodes long. The genre is slice of life. My anime list rating is 6.8, which is kind of high in my opinion, and I gave it a 6. Hinako no is about this girl who is very shy, and whenever she tries to talk to people, she turns into a literal scarecrow and animals just flock to her. So do you know what her decision was? She decided to go to Tokyo and become a stage actress. Because there's this really good company in Tokyo that takes on girls that want to get into acting and helps them. It was a very forgettable show. It just had a really good intro. That's the only thing I remember. Other than the girl, Hinako, the pink-haired girl, I don't remember anyone's name. I think one of them names was Alice. It's either the really short girl in the green dress, who, by the way, was a masterclass teacher at, age 11, and the girl in the blonde hair who hates being called cute. The girl with the really short hair, at the very far end, the tallest one with the brown hair, short brown hair, she, everyone has a crush on her for some reason. It's weird. There's really big lesbian vibes. I don't know. It was a weird show. It wasn't really memorable. If you're into this kind of relaxed setting of just girls doing things, I guess you could like it, but it was just boring for me, especially compared to what I was looking for. Now, what I was looking for wasn't boring, but it wasn't good either. Something can be bad and not be boring. It was very forgettable. And the girl with the blue hair is a lot like the girl with blue hair from Lucky Star, and I've seen a lot of fan comparisons when I was looking for images of the show, of them comparing them, and I'm just like, yep, they don't act really similar, they're both not otakus, they just look really similar, and they're super lazy as crap. That's where the similarities begin and end. It's just, the show was weird, it was very boring, but the intro's good. I have the intro in my saved anime opening playlist. Next we have Bath Time with Hinako and Hiyoko. This is a 1-episode OVA. It's counted as an ecchi, and for some reason a sport anime. My anime list rating is 4.88, which is really high, and then I gave it a 4. Now, Hinako, anything branded with whatever with Hinako is a first person, and I'm into first person. They're always really terrible, but I'm into the first person anime genre. But there are some ways of doing it decently where it's not cringy as heck. This is not one of those examples. And Hinako has sleeping with Hinako and exercising with Hinako. Hinako, you literally just take a bath with her and Hiyoko. And it's weird. And she does stretches in the bath. And I did a few of the, not in the bath obviously, but I did a few of the stretches with her. And the stretches are decent, I guess, but just, I don't remember how long this was. It couldn't have been too long, maybe 10 minutes at most. But she does some stretches for the first 2. And then, the next, it's just her fighting with Captain Hinako, as she calls this little blonde-haired chick, and it's really bad. I don't know, I watched it just for the experience, and the experience was exactly what I thought it would be. Terrible. Next, we get into Ping Pong, the animation. I don't know how I got to this. Maybe I was on a roll with the sports genre. Sports loosely, but Ping Pong the animation, it's 11 episodes long. The genre is obviously sport. My anime list rating is 8.64, and I gave it an 8. Ping Pong the animation was amazing. Now, it has a very unique art style and animation style, but it just enhanced how good this show was. It was great. It really got me in the mood, and I already like Ping Pong, so I didn't need any help liking the sport anime. It was my first official sports anime, and I was blown away. It was fantastic. I would, 10 out of 10, would watch again. I probably might rewatch it if I ever get the time, but that's hardly ever happens. But it was amazingly good. It's about these two boys, and one of the boys, he always loses, so his friend wins, and then Smile, who is not the guy with the bowl cut, I forget what, Pico. Yeah, Pico. He finally loses, and then he like, oh, I'm giving up on ping pong forever. And then the old coach goes to Smile, and he's like, Smile, you're a really good player, man. You gotta not fail 24/7. It's just a really great show on these two guys who were super good, except they just needed a little extra push to be great. And it's done so well, and it builds up the suspense so well. You don't know who's gonna win in the end. You just don't know. Next is Pet Shop of Horrors. The episode count is 4. The genre obviously is horror. My anime list rating is 7.35, and I gave it a 6. Now this is an older one, I believe from 1999. And I like these older animes just because they're always weird as crap, because this was before anime was really widely released to outside of Japan. So people just put out whatever the heck they wanted. And Pet Shop of Horrors isn't as weird as it gets, but it's on that edge of weird. A lot of the gore, again, was really heavily censored because obviously it made it to America Land, which is how I watched it. But it's odd, it's weird. It's about this dude, and he's like, oh, I'm just selling pets. And the cop is like, no, you're doing this other crap, Count D. And the manga goes on longer than this because obviously more stuff happens. So if the anime piques your interest enough, it didn't for me, I would highly suggest picking up the manga because it goes on for longer and it explains the world a little bit better. It explains Count D and what he does better, other than just, yes, ancient Chinese magicalness, which is what Count D is. He's from China, and it takes place in New York. It's a weird show. Next is Elfen Lied. There's 13 episodes. The genre is horror. The My Anime List rating is 7.73, and I gave it a 7. Elfen Lied. I had the biggest what the heck of my life. I was confused in a good way about this show, and it was interesting, to say the least. It is about this girl, Lucy, who escapes her imprisonment and at certain points forgets that she is a killing machine and becomes Mew, who is very docile and not a serial killer. And people don't do Elfen Lied justice. They either show only the cute side or the gory side. So I never had any good clue on what Elfen Lied was until I watched it. And oh boy, no one does this show justice at all. You cannot describe the show well enough for someone to get an idea of it. You just have to be like, hey, prepare yourself mentally, and then just set the person in front of the TV with the show. And I loved it so much that I bought a print of it from BonsaiCon from Ikehime, the artist. And it was this show. It's really good, but because of how messed up it is, no one talks about it because it's so messed up. But it's a great show. It's great horror, great psychological stuff happening too. This show, man, messed me up. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. The episode count is 11. The genre is drama. The My Anime List rating is 8.14, which I feel is completely dumb. And then I gave it a rating of 9. This show was amazing. It has a really simple art style and really simple animation, but they look like people. It's not overdone. It's meant to look semi-realistic while still being a cartoon-ish show. This show, man, had me bawling in tears by the end of it. It's about this girl named Mirai with her brother, I believe his name is Yuki, and they, just go to this robotics museum, and then suddenly there's a huge 8.0 earthquake. And if you don't know what that means, it's a huge earthquake, because I believe the scale goes to 10 or 12, and it destroyed Tokyo, and they have to escape with this biker chick trying to get home, and and there's aftershocks and there's debris, and it's a really good depiction of natural disasters and just natural disasters in general, and people trying to get back home or pick up the pieces of the lives that were destroyed by, the earthquake. And I like that. I like that true depiction of horror and fear, and it's not scary. There's not a lot of gore. I mean, obviously it's not rosing the image up. People do die, but it's not gore. It's more focusing on the tragedy of the death and how people deal with the death, and it's not overdone, but it's a realistic portrayal of an event like this. It's not over dramatized in any way. It's not understated in any way. It's just perfect. It hits the mark right on the head. Next is One Outs, which is an episode count of 25. It's another sport anime. My anime list rating, again, I feel is too low. It's 8.39, and I gave it a 9. This show was interesting. So, again, I already liked baseball and or softball to begin with, which only helped me loving this show. So the pitcher, Yuichi, I think his name was, or Keiichi, I can't fully remember, but the pitcher, the blonde-haired guy, lost a one-outs game against this amazing batter, and he now, the deal was, the guy was, I will give you like $10,000 or you give me your hand. And the pitcher thought, oh, that means he's going to break my hand so I can't throw anymore. And the guy was like, no, join my baseball team. And the guy was like, okay, baseball. And he doesn't cheat. Yeah, he doesn't cheat, but he figures out how the other team cheats. And even if the other team doesn't cheat, he figures out how to win, so his team always wins. And the manga did go a lot further than the anime. The anime stopped mid-season of the baseball against, like, the toughest team that there was. But the manga goes on further, and the anime ended, like, really, really cheaply where the manga ended, but it's still good. It's still really good. Like, don't let a kind of meh ending, like, the ending wasn't bad, it was, like, satisfactory, but it just didn't go as far as the manga, which is fine. It was so good, and it had me on edge the entire time. It was amazing. And the thing about sports anime is, you kind of already have to like the sport before you go in, so I'm kind of biased because I already like baseball, and I already like game and psychological stuff, so all of this just packed on top of each other was magnifique. Loved it. Next is Yuri Kuma Arashi, and the episode count is 12. The genre is fantasy / shoujo ai. The My Anime rating is 7.14, and my rating was 6. Yuri Kuma Arashi is a very weird shoujo ai anime. It's about this world, and everyone used to live peacefully with the bears that can turn into these semi-human things. But then something happened where the bears ate the people because it's natural selection or whatever. And then there's a wall, and then, like, it was odd. It was very odd, and for a moment I forgot. It's weird. It's weird. The only thing I can say about it is the art style is very pretty. I might have cried at the end. I can't remember. If I did cry, I'm very disappointed in myself, but it's a very weird show. I don't know how to describe it. The main thing you need to know is there's a lot of sexual innuendos, and if you're not cool with that, you might not want to watch this show. But other than that, it's a decent action show. For me, it was too weird to get into, which is why I gave it a 6. It's not bad. It's weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it as much as the other entries. Again, it wasn't bad. It was just odd. And I have another video on it that's like a preface to Yuri Kuma Arashi, which I suggest if you're going to watch that, you watch that video. Next is Aggressive Retsuko. The episode count is 10. The genre is slice of life / comedy. My anime list rating is 7.85, and I gave it a 7. Each episode is only about 15 minutes long, but it's about this panda. Oh, and this is the newer Netflix version. There is a 110 episode version, but each episode is only like 1 minute, so this is the better version. And it's about this red panda who works in an office, and, you know, office jobs kind of suck. And to release that stress of having a sucky office job, she sings death metal. I don't know how she got into singing death metal. I don't think that's ever explained. But this panda, by the way, this anime was made by the same company that made Hello Kitty. This panda just sings death metal, and it's decent death metal, but, you know, death metal nonetheless. And it's hilarious, and it's interesting to see how, like, the stress of her job just makes her go out and scream death metal. It was great. Loved it. I would highly recommend watching it if you have, like, an afternoon to spare, because I think I finished it within, like, 2, maybe 3 hours. It was a great show, by the way. It was just a panda with an office job screams death metal. Next, we have Hetalia, the Beautiful World specials. I only watched this to see the Neos. The episode count is 4. I believe they were like 5 minutes long, so like you're not even wasting an hour on this show. The genre is comedy. The My Anime list is 7.83, which is surprisingly high, and I gave it a 7. You know, it's just 3 shorts. 2 of them are, one of them is a 2-parter, so it spans like 2 of the 4 episodes, and it's just Italy and Germany going on a Valentine's Day date. One of them is again, Estonia meeting the Neos, and one of them is Liechtenstein and Switzerland just hanging out. It's your run-of-the-mill Hetalia cute characters doing cute things crap. I liked it. I'm really biased because I just love Hetalia, but, you know. Next is Great Teacher Onizuka, and this again is me trying to get into the older side of anime, just to see what the heck was up, which this one wasn't weird. The episode count is 43, the genre is like a comedy school thing. The My Anime List rating is 8.73, which is high. This is like a surprisingly high-ranked show. I believe it's in the top 50, if I'm not mistaken. And the rating I gave it was a 7. It's about this teacher who went to like 2-year college, and he became a teacher because he was a delinquent, but he's like, oh, I can fix the students. And like, he does that really well. Like, he's kind of a perv, you know, but he does try to do right by his students, and he tries to fix what's wrong with the school, and he tries to make sure every student is like doing okay. There was one student, Yoshikawa. They did not do him justice, and I'm upset with that. But you know, what can you do? Which is why my rating is low for it. Low in quotation marks, but it's a good show nonetheless. It has the first opening's really good. They changed the opening midway through, which is what a lot of anime companies do when they have a long show. But you know, it's still a good show. Highly recommend you watch it. It's kind of long, and it took me like 2 months to watch it just because it was so long. Because when I see a long episode count, I freak out. Like I just feel like I'm in it for the long haul, and whatever. Great Teacher Onizuka. If you're into like the kind of like not professional teacher kind of guy doing his own thing, trying to help his students, you know, you'll find what you're looking for. Next, my first of Satoshi Kon, I believe, Perfect Blue. It's a movie. It's a dementia/horror, and the dementia genre is so weird, but I love it. The My Anime List rating was 8.35, and I gave it an 8. Perfect Blue is based off a novel. I don't think the novel's by Satoshi Kon, but it's based off like just a straight up novel. It's not that long. I believe it's only 90 to 120 pages. This movie is about an ex-pop idol who wants to be serious and become a actress, which is a lot of people do that. It's not an odd progression from one thing to the other. But strange things start happening, because, like, not all her fans were okay with her leaving the pop idol group to be an actress. And then she lands this kind of... If you know what Law & Order SVU is, there's always a victim, and whoever plays the victim, like, there's always this weird faux pas of, like, you got raped on screen, are you okay? And, like, she has to play that role. Like, that's what she does, and it's a lot graphicer than what Law & Order SVU shows. And that kind of messes her up psychologically, and it kind of destroys her pop idol image. Like, after that happens, she can't go back, and it's a really good psychological show, and I knew going into it was weird and strange, and I had thought I prepared myself enough for it. Apparently I did not. So the show even fooled me a little bit. It's really good. I'm probably going to rewatch it tonight because it was so good. I just love this show so much. Or this movie, it was a really good movie. You should watch it. Next is Midori Days again. Episode count is 13. The genre is like a comedy romance. My Anime List rating is 7.38, which is super high. Next, and I gave it a 5. Midori Days, what drew me to the show was the premise. So this guy, he doesn't know this girl, and this guy wakes up one morning, and instead of like, I think it's his left hand, or one of his hands, it's a girl, and he used to be the Punchin' King, a rowdy, rough, fighty boy, and now with this girl on his hand, he can't do that, and the girl on his hand has a crush on him, and trust me, it's one of those comedies that doesn't have any story progression until like the last like 2-3 episodes, and it's I don't understand why it had to be his hand. I don't get that. I do not get that at all. But there's a girl on his hand, and it's fabulous. We love that weirdness, and like, I don't know what was up with this show, like what happened in the early 2000s, but this show, man, it made it past the censors, and like, I don't have a video on it, but I have a video mentioning the show. It's like the the childhood friend paradox, and I talk about how, like, the girl goes for the guy even though her childhood friend has been there all the time, and it's just, it's a weird show. Next is Heaven's Memo Pad. It was 12 episodes long. The only genre it had for it was mystery, which was weird. Next, it has a 7.62 rating on my anime list, and I gave it a 7. Heaven's Memo Pad was disappointing. Heaven's Memo Pad was made in a time where no one had an original idea. Once the show, like, took off, every other animation company made a show similar to it, and Heaven's Memo Pad sadly got caught up in that trend. It wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't a good show. It moved really quickly, and it had a large cast of characters that it just didn't explore as well as it should have. It explored the side girl that, like, showed up every 2 or so episodes, and it was weird, and it moved very fast when the show should have been longer. It's just bad. It's about this detective agency that takes in NEETs, which are not an education, employment, or training, and technically they do have an employment. They do this for a living, and they get paid for it. And, like, the girl, it's never explained why she's a NEET. She either has the mind of a 7-year-old or this 200-year-old philosopher, and it's odd, and you just have to accept that she has this huge god complex, and it was disappointing, to say the least, because I went into the show with such high expectations. Don't do that. Don't go into the show with high expectations. Keep them as low to the ground as possible if you want to enjoy the show. Next is Sound of the Sky, which I kept on mistakenly referring to as Sound... I did it again. I'm even looking at it. It's Sound of the Sky, not Sound to the Sky, I was mixing it up. Next is the episode count, which is 12. The genre is like a slice of life, music, military thing. It said military, but, like, this show could have literally taken place during any other time and wouldn't have mattered. The rating on my anime list is 7.59, and I gave it a 6. Sound of the Sky was directed by the same dude who did Elfen Lied, but don't let that scare you, because these two shows are worlds away. It's a moe blob show about this girl who wants to learn to play the trumpet, and the only way she can do that, because of the war that has ransacked the village, the Holy Roman Empire, for some reason, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird fantasy time thing. She has to join the military, and she does that, and she's transferred to, I believe, their only female unit, when she learns to play the trumpet. She isn't really good at playing the trumpet, but she does, and the show picks up near the end, like a lot of these comedy moe shows do. It picks up near the end, and it gets a lot darker than what it starts out as. Like, you see some literal PTSD stuff happen, and it's, like, it's done well. It's done as well as it can get, because the show still, it started off lighthearted, so it still has to bring in the jokes and stuff, so, yeah, it's a good show, just not, like, the best military show I've ever seen, which is why I watched it, because it was military, and I do enjoy military shows. Don't watch this if you want a military show. Watch it if you want some cute moe music blobs. Next is Tomy. The episode count was 2 because it was part of a bigger collection of Junji Ito's work. The genre is horror. My anime list is 5.99, more or less 6, and I gave it a 6. Tomy wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Yes, compared to the full 300 plus page manga, it was bad, but when it's part of a huge collection of Junji Ito's work, it wasn't bad. The art was decent, the animation was decent, and it more or less did the story justice. I have an entire video on this as well. It was just, compared to the manga, which is like 300 pages, which I paid $30 for and I read, it, I don't know, it was decent. The only reason I watched it was to make a video, so I didn't watch it like as just from a viewer's perspective. I watched it from a reviewer's perspective. It was just, it's not as bad a show as people make it out to be, but it still isn't like the best horror out there. Next is Ao Bungaku series. The episode count is 12. The genre is psychological. The rating on my anime list is 7.82, and I gave it a 6. This show takes a spin on classic Japanese novels, as the guy in the suit describes, evergreen novels, and I believe there's 7 to 6 stories that are told. The first one takes up 4 episodes, and every other one takes up 1 or 2. It was good. The art style for horror is something you don't see a lot. Like, each story had its own, like, unique art style, but most of them that were horror had, except for the first one, had a really bright and beautiful art style, which you don't see a lot in horror, which really like emphasizes the moments that are meant to be scary, which I love that. That is my jam right there. The reason it has such a low rating is for me was that it paid too much attention to that first story when it really didn't need that much attention. And I don't know, it wasn't the best horror out there. Again, I'm really picky when it comes to horror because I am such a fanatic of horror, and I consider myself a horror connoisseur. It was just, this show. It's good if you want something different from your horror, which isn't normal. And the guy doing this really inspired me to, like, write more horror and, like, just make them evergreen, as he calls them. I like the narrator more than I like the actual anime. Next is In This Corner of the World. It's a movie. It's 2 hours long. The genre is historical/drama. The rating on my anime list is 8.35, and I gave it an 8. And This Corner of the World looks like a children's show. It's not. First of all, it has the same feel as Grave of the Fireflies. That one made me cry more than this one. At first I didn't like In This Corner of the World because the art style and the animation is really simple, and it stays simple throughout the show, but you kind of get used to it. But it started too early in the girl's life, I feel. Like, it started at the point where she meets her future husband, but in my opinion, it still started too early, and it dragged on to the important parts, because it doesn't start getting good till, like, the hour mark. Like, halfway through is when I started, like, liking it, and I don't feel like a show should do that, but because the second half was so good, that's why I gave it an 8, and it's about this girl who lives outside of the Hiroshima prefecture. It's during World War II time, so you know, like, stuff is going down. It's not good. It's not a pleasant experience, and it really shows just a girl, after she leaves home, moving to, like, her spouse's home, and, like, it shows the struggles of doing that alongside times of war. Next is Candy Boy. The episode count is 7. The genre is shoujo-ai. It really shouldn't. The rating is 7 somehow. I swear it should be so much lower, and then I gave it a 5. Candy Boy is about these 2 twin sisters, and yeah, nothing happens. They're just like, oh my gosh, sister, we're sisters, we're connected because we're twins, sister. Literally, that's the show. And, like, the episode descriptions, because also the show's only like 12 to 15 minutes long per episode, the episode descriptions would not follow what the episode is. I swear the episode descriptions were more romantic than what actually happened in the show. It was a huge disappointment. Next, we have our second Satoshi Kon, Paranoia Agent. The episode count is about 13. The genre is dementia. The My Anime List rating is 7.72, and I gave it a 7. Paranoia Agent is about these sudden attacks that happen in, I believe it's Tokyo or around Tokyo, and people are getting attacked by a boy on skates and a golden bat, and they're getting hit, but when they get hit, their problems just magically disappear, and the show is like trying to figure out who is the boy with the golden bat, why is he doing it, and why do their problems suddenly get fixed when he appears. It's a really good show. There was about 3 or so episodes right before the ending that, like, could have been eliminated, and the show could have been shorter, and it would have been better for the show, but, like, the ending's good. Just stick around to those 3 or so episodes that are complete bull and have nothing to do with the show. And that's why it's a 7, because of those episodes were bad. I took a point off for each stupid episode. But in any event, it's a decent show. It's really good. Satoshi Kon does this dementia genre really well. I think he's dead, but for the works he has done, he does them magnifique. Finally, we have Violet Evergarden. The episode count is 13. The genre is fantasy/drama. The rating on My Anime List is 8.60, and I gave it a solid 10 out of 10. This show was amazing. The animation style for every episode is movie-like quality, and the art is just beautiful. The story is so gripping and like makes you want to watch more. And a season 2 is already confirmed in the works for Violet Evergarden. It's about this girl who knew nothing but the military, and when the war ends, she doesn't really know how to respond to that because she's like 14, 15, and all she knew was the war for like 5-6 years, and she has to adjust to normal human life. And she hears, and her old major told her, "I love you," and she didn't understand these words, and the only way she knew how to understand these words was to become a letter writer. And she learns different forms of love and different versions of love and how love can be expressed. And she comes to terms with being who she is, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I was crying through so many episodes, and I'm crying right now. It's a great show. You should watch it. Next are the 3 anime to watch in 2019. These are animes that I recommend full-heartedly, that I would put my life on the line for to watch again. Obviously, as I said, Violet Evergarden, I just got done talking about it. It's an amazing show. It's glorious. Next is Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. Again, it was such a gripping story, and it knew how to pace. It knew how to insert an aftershock here, and then just a calm moment, and then like people being in distress, and it knew pacing to the T. It knew what it played its craft well, very well. Next is One Out, which is just amazing. It's a sport anime, and not a lot of people are into sports anime for some reason. Listen, if you want to get into sports anime but you're not sure what you should watch, One Out is the way to go. I almost recommended Ping Pong, but I just loved One Out so much more because it's more of a traditional anime style, and it's not as off the wall as Ping Pong. And it's One Outs, I feel, is more what sports anime are, is more so than Ping Pong, even though I've only seen like 3. It's a really good show. I would highly recommend watching it. It's just, you get to follow this journey of this guy trying to just be the best pitcher he can be, even though he didn't really want to do it. He just kind of got contracted to. Now are the 3 anime to avoid going into 2019. Obviously, Bath Time with Hinako and Hiyoko are on the chopping block. It was bad. It was weird. It was creepy. It's not a good first-person perspective. A really good one I could recommend is probably One Room, which is where you're a male and you like are the landlord or something of these 3 girls that live in the apartments, and that's probably the best one I can think of. Candy Boy, it was boring as crap. A new one came out, 2 really good shoujo came out this year, Citrus and Happy Sugar Life. Watch those instead. Hinako Note, it was just so forgettable. I would recommend Lucky Star in place of it, even though it's like, just watch Lucky Star if you want something like that. Like, Hinako Note was really boring and it was forgettable. I can't even remember any of the characters' names. I can only remember Hinako, and one of them had to be called Alice. Alice is just calling to me with this show, I swear. Anyways, that's all the anime I watched in 2018, along with my recommendations. Obviously, you don't have to go and watch these for yourselves. These are just what I watched and what I enjoyed. I liked keeping track of all the anime I watched in 2018. It was an interesting project for me. It really showed what anime I'm more drawn to. It really gave me a perspective on what I like, and what I like is sad stuff and horror. And I got into sports as well. Anyways, Happy New Year, guys. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're safe. A lot of you probably are already in 2019, and I'm stuck in 2018. How's the future? Tell me how it is. Has the rabbits taken over yet? Anyways, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more anime and otaku related content. Ciao, chicos, and have a great new year.